Hello learners, welcome to Learn to Empower. In this particular video, we will be looking into the foundational value of empathy. Now, what is meant by empathy? It is not sympathy, but it is not compassion as well. It lies in between sympathy and compassion, that is your empathy. Now let's try and understand in simple terms what is meant by empathy. You should be empathetic towards the weaker section of the society. When I say this word, you should understand that empathetic means you are putting yourself in others shoes and able to understand what other person is going through in their life. Right now you are putting yourself in other shoes means that you want to see the perspectives how the other person is feeling about their problems. Right, you are able to feel, you should able to feel the exact feelings, and you should able to feel the exact pain of other person is going through, even though you're not facing the same problem. But if you are able to understand what the other person might be going through, then you will be having the effective policy making. You will be making the decisions in a very empathetic way. You will be taking the decisions in a very objective manner. Right, that will make the system to deliver a proper judgment towards the particular weaker sections of the society. Now let's look into the key aspects of empathy. One is the perspective taking. What is meant by perspective taking? That you are taking the perspective of the other person. You are taking the perspective of other person based upon your own experiences, biases, and you are trying to understand what the other person might be going through in this particular situation. Right, now the next aspect is the emotional sharing. What is meant by emotional sharing? That a person, let's say your friend, is of suffering from certain emotional trauma. When he or she comes and tells you or explains you about the problem, now you should also be in a position in sharing those emotions rather than telling them that about your personal life. Rather you should understand that the other person should feel that yes, this person is genuinely connecting to my feelings. Right, the next comes the compassionate action. Now you should take certain actions based upon the empathetic situation, or the support that is needed to the other person. Either it can be monetary terms, either it can be emotional terms, either it can be just simply taking the person out for some dinner, etc., or taking the person, or at least understanding or listening to the person what they are trying to say. And next is important is the creating an emotional boundaries, which means that you should create an emotional boundary. You should not indulge in so much that you are forgetting about yourself. Right, now when a person comes and shares the emotional problem with you, you should not starts crying along with that person. You should have that emotional boundary. That is very important to empathize, that to empathize with the particular person. Right, you should not have this emotional exhaustion in you. Right, there should be a point which draws the line where you should be empathetic to the people in limiting yourself in your own boundaries. Now this will helps in cultivating the empathy by seeking to understand the others, by taking the perspectives, etc. By these values we can able to cultivate the value of empathy. And empathy also comes from the family upbringing, as we have seen in the primary agent of socialization. And sometimes the religious values also comes into where it will also helps in the person to have this emotional balance. Being emotional healthy is very important in the civil service administration. Now let's look into some of the examples where the empathy is a primary value that has been there. Now let's take the Kerala's response to floods. When the Kerala floods were happened in the year 2018, the most of the people in this country were felt not only sympathetic but also empathetic, because most of the volunteers went to the location and they started helping the people who are being suffering particular time, like especially Indian Army, disaster management forces, etc., came in helping the people. You can understand this is how the empathy is being imbibed. Next is the community kitchen initiative, where you will find that there are a lot of volunteers who comes and not who comes on the roads, etc., by cooking the food and giving to the weaker sections of the society. Right, don't you say this is somewhere is empathetic value, because that person feels empathetic towards the people who are not in line with the basic needs in the society. The next is the support to the orphaned children. For example, there are many NGOs, there are many orphanages that is running in the country to the children's who doesn't have parents. Right, the children's who been left out from the society. Now how this has been taken care? Because there is a value of empathy. Without the empathy, society can crumble into only thinking about the profit motive. Right, next mental health awareness campaign that has been conducted, because we feel empathetic towards the people who are suffering from the psychological or the mental disorders. Right, Now, the next is the support during the COVID-19. We cannot forget the how during the COVID-19 how people helped each other, especially in supplying the food's basic necessities. Right? How we emotionally catered our brain, how we emotionally because of the online presence, etc. We will able to get this process very smooth and but understand the situation where the people are not even connected to the internet, how they were able to cope up. Right? This is because the lockdown was implemented all across India. Right? Because and the basic supplies how it was meant during COVID times, we have seen the value of empathy in a much larger way. And education initiative for underprivileged children, yes, there are many NGOs which are working for the privileges or giving this underprivileged children the education towards them, right? The next is the by this by this slide we are coming to the conclusion of this particular video. In the next video we will be looking into the other civil services foundational values. Till then, take care. Thank you.